Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. Joining us for this segment, we have Michael McCarthy, Chief Strategy Officer at Tiger Brokers Australia, to discuss a new Australian government, the first 30 days. Michael, it's great to have you with us on Trade Talks. Welcome to the show.
Thanks very much, Jill.
What was the market reaction to the change of government?
The market reaction was barely discernible, to be frank about it. And one of the reasons for that is a lot of the political discussions that are going on in Australia at the moment are not about economic matters. They're much more about social issues. And so the difference between the Conservatives, who lost office after 9 years in power, and the Labor government, who've now taken that role, is fairly minimal when it comes to the economy and when it comes to the impact on markets. The one area of big difference between the two parties is energy policy, and that's where the market breathed a sigh of relief. The reality is we've had a logjam here in Australia. We really haven't been able to achieve much in terms of getting in line with the rest of the globe when it comes to combating climate change. And the election of this Labor government and its fellow travellers, there are a lot of independents elected to the parliament for the first time this time around, suggests that we might get a comprehensive approach to energy policy. And that's been reflected in some pretty positive moves in that sector. But other than that, the market, I think, is happy to get on with it and let the government do its job. The reality is politicians take a lot of credit for markets when they're going up and step away when they're going down. And I think a lot of local investors view that approach quite cynically and are not too concerned about the change of government.
What are the likely implications for the Australian government in markets over, let's say, the next 3 years?
We'll likely see a stewardship, but one of the issues for the Australian government is that a lot of the controls are not in its hands. The reality is that a global central bank policy will be a key determinant of the Australian economy, and in particular, that need to lift rates. Now, at the moment, the Reserve Bank of Australia is running behind other central banks, but there's a good reason for that. We're not seeing those eye-watering levels of inflation that we've seen in other parts of the world. So the challenge for the government as they look at their first 3-year term is going to revolve around the global economy, but in particular, the impact it has on commodity prices. This is a key determinant of Australia's trade position. It's been a real benefit to the Australian economy, particularly over the last few years. If we do see growth starting to slow because of those central bank interest rate hikes, then that could have a direct impact on commodities and might present the government with more headaches than it's currently looking at.
And Michael, explain to us in more detail, what are the significant similarities or differences in the economic decisions between the new government and the previous government?
A lot of them revolve around social policy and around the size of government. And it's a conversation that's had in many developed economies. That is, do we see more intervention, more caring from the government? Because, of course, that comes at much greater cost. So, if anything, there is a tendency towards bigger government with the Labor Party. They tend to want to bring everybody along with them. But, of course, that risks the economic balance sheet. And one of the issues will be, if we do see a downturn in the global economy, that the income that has supported a lot of the policies that the Labor government has promised may not be there to pay for those policies. And there could be some very tough decisions around deficits coming up for this government.
All right, Michael, we appreciate the insight. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq.